Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel Review Anything and Everything. And today we are taking a look at this Lego set 76317, Peter Parker's apartment. Now, what's interesting is that I had seen first which came out first was the convenience store to Miles Morales. I'm not sure the name of the set, but it has Miles Morales in it, his dad, and his little convenience store. A little fun fact, that actually can connect to this one, and it's kind of designed like that, which is why this one doesn't have a sidewalk, but we'll get into that in a little bit later, even though inside the little box cover here in the art, they show a sidewalk down there. But so I saw that and I thought it looked interesting, but it was a little bit overpriced. And then this one came out and this one also was a little bit overpriced, but it recently went on sale for a little bit. And so I was able to just pick it up at that time. I hope that later on, all these Spider-Man sets go on sale, like a lot more of a deeper sale. But at the time, this was the only one that went on sale. Of this little collection, there's the Miles Morales convenience store, and then there's the Oscorp building, which I think the Oscorp building may have also gone on sale, but I wasn't looking to spend that much money at the time. So jumping into this review here, we're going to unbox it, get into things, and then we're going to put it together, and then we'll come back with a full detail review. But before that, this set has 394 pieces, Peter Parker's apartment. To be honest with you, I really like little kind of sets like this. Now, like I said, I wish that they weren't that expensive, but also too, this is part of the Spider-Man theme. And I say that to say that if Lego City had made more like just little building sets like this that were like maybe, 20, I don't know if you could put this at a price tag of like $20. We'll say $30 if it wasn't, a licensed branding like the Spider-Man, and it was say $30 just for a generic apartment with just some regular people in it. I think that would be great for a city set. So that's kind of what drew me to this. So you can see here what's going on inside of the details here. Let's zoom in a little bit. So you got his apartment there. You obviously have 4 minifigures. We'll get into that in a moment. You got the bottom area, which is like the kind of kitchen-ish area, then apartment. So it's a very small kind of apartment. But what's interesting is that though you might think that it's a little too small, what's funny about it is when you think of it from almost like, Peter Parker living in like Manhattan or something like that, the sets were usually like that, so now like small. Now, granted, this seems like it really resembles his home in Queens when he was in Queens versus like a Manhattan apartment or something like that. But the Manhattan apartments would probably be more closer to this size. And if it was a house and him living in Queens, it'd probably be a little bit more closer to the size of like, say, the Cozy Home 3-in-1 or something like that. So here you could see that it shows his bed folds out, the breakaway feature, him hanging upside down. Now, one thing people have complained about with this set was that he should have had a regular clothes type of body instead of just a Spider-Man body, but it is good that they gave him the Spider-Man, they gave him the Peter Parker face and the Spider-Man head. So that's a bonus, at least right there. You have Spider-Man, Mary Jane, Hobgoblin, and Anti-Venom. What's interesting is that if you're someone who wants Green Goblin, of course, you got to buy the Oscorp building. But if you didn't mind having any Goblin, if your mentality is like, well, any Goblin would do for me, because you just want, you're not a hardcore, superhero collector of these things, but you just wanted some kind of villain who's on a glider. There's Hobgoblin here, which comes with this set, which is a lot more affordable. So we're going to rip into this now. See how many bags come with it. This is interesting because normally it would be on the side, like this would be the viewed like this normally, like from a side angle for most boxes, and then you would cut on the side. But now it's like I'm gonna have to cut from the bottom, which I really kind of would not want to do. But this is where the tabs are, and I usually like to cut along the tabs. Though I could have opened it from the top. And then, when you sit it down, normally the opening will... Okay, let's see here. Sorry about that. I had to clear out the little sticker that was on it. Let's see if we can get into this. A lot of times, too, what's interesting is sometimes these side panels, I always have this issue when I open up Lego sets. Maybe I just need a sharper unboxing knife, but I always have that vibe about where I don't want to use a better knife because then I'll make that knife dull. But I guess that's what knives are for, right? So let's see here if we're able to. And I truly do hate damaging boxes. I really do. But sometimes they're so hard to get into because, let me bring this down a little bit. You can see right here, I cut on the edge here rather than just cutting in between the layers of the box. Once again, a problem that probably would have been solved by having a sharper knife. But anyway, let's see how many bags we have inside of this. Now, what's interesting is this has, it says almost 400 pieces. And it's funny because I've seen a couple of sets that have more pieces than this that don't seem like they would be as substantial. One set that I'm thinking about right now is the Batman Batmobile from the 1991. And that just came to my mind because it's a set that I have to still build that I'm kind of like behind it. So we got 4 bags here. And what is this? Okay, so we have parts to this, which is actually pretty cool. We got 2 parts. Or is it 2 or is it 3? What is this? We got 1 more bag. Okay, let me just pull this back a little bit. I feel like I'm not getting everything that I want to get in frame. Okay, so bag 1 is just simply Spider-Man and Hobgoblin. Bag 2 is the ground floor. And bag 3 and 4 is the top floor, which is very interesting. But it's a nice kind of little setup where multiple people can put it together. This is an 8+ set, but I guess they might be, normally for a set this small, you wouldn't think that they would need to do that. But I think where they're going with this in terms of their mindset is that you probably might have, besides for collectors who might want to grab something like this, you probably have a lot of kids who are also thinking the same thing and they'd want to have it. So that way the parents can build it up with their kids. The only thing about it is that these sets then need to have more kid-friendly prices if that is the case. But we're going to jump into the build. First, let me just show you guys the sticker sheet, which is not too bad. It's not too bad. But we're going to put all this together and then we'll be back with the review. All right, everybody, we are back with the finished build and we're going to jump into the building itself in a bit. But first, I just want to go over some of these figures inside the front that I have right here. So one, I will say that I think it comes with a decent amount of figures. Oh, I'm missing somebody and I have her inside here already. So take her out real quick. That is Mary Jane. So we're just gonna bring her up to the front of the view right now. So you have Mary Jane here. Now, I'm not one of those people who are familiar with if reused parts are used from different sets or anything like that, but just gonna take a look at them just as is. See, she's got the other side, the regular smile face, and there's more like the panic action face. This hair piece is one that kind of limits her head movement and whatnot to a degree. You can turn the head. You could turn the head. Sorry about that. You could turn the head separately, like where you had her face maybe facing that way a little bit, but the hair is not really going to be able to move. So, and that would be a whole process to adjust. But she looks like a nice character, a nice figure there. We have Spider-Man. Now I gave him, this is the one they tell you to put together for him. But you know, you have some spare parts, so I put that together as well. I'm just gonna take that, put that on the side. You can see him here. Now, from my understanding, this is kind of the same Spider-Man that's been used for a while. I actually bought a set like this for my kids before where it was Spider-Man, and funny enough, with the fiery head, pumpkin heads, it was a Ghost Rider set, but in that one, the fire didn't come out. So a lot of people were excited about the fact that the fire comes off of the heads there. You see he's got the printing on the back, he's got the arm printing, no leg printing, but I feel that this is one of those figures where you can kind of get away with it, even though in theory you should have the printing on the bottom of the legs. But I don't feel like it necessarily detracts from the character. Just at a glance, you know it's Spider-Man and he looks good. I'm not one of those really sticklers about, oh, the printing is this and that. He comes with a Peter Parker head. Let me see if I can get the Can I use this? Let me see if I can use this. Nope, that's not gonna work. Oh, maybe. No, I gotta put him on Spider-Man's head to actually get the hair piece off. So here you can see him with his regular Peter Parker head, and then here goes the worried head side. So that's nice. I think it's great that they included the Peter Parker head, but a lot of people also have an issue with the fact that they should have included a Peter Parker body. And I don't disagree with that, but I will say you are getting 4 figures in this set, which I feel like there's a lot of sets that really skimp out on the figures, so at least you're getting that. Yeah, at least you're getting that. So, come with a little spider right here, which is fitting for the set, but you know, I don't know how much you're gonna use it. I want to also show this too, because they set these figures up in so many different ways when it comes to some of these items. We're gonna go over the extra pieces in a few. Put them aside. But this, I wouldn't consider it extra because it's definitely something that's used. These are like web handcuffs that would go on a person. So for example, in Spider-Man, I'll throw them on him, even though normally he wouldn't web his own self up like that, but you never know. And there you go. And this is Anti-Venom over here. The weight of these things to make him fall, so let me take them off so that way he can stand properly in the background. We've got Anti-Venom. Now this was extra, so I just used that to put together another web thing because there was nothing to kind of hold the web piece. Granted, that is not white, but nonetheless, it still gives another, you know, web shooting thing. This one is somewhat similar to the one that Peter is using. The only difference is this one's more like taller, and this is more like balanced, I guess you could say. I don't want to call it rounded, but you know, it's not as tall as this one. But other than that, they're pretty much the same build. And I really don't know much on Anti-Venom, but he looks cool. I feel like this is one of those sets where the enemies that they threw in, and apparently Anti-Venom's supposed to be a hero from my understanding, but I don't really know too much about him. But it seems like, but in this set, they're using him like he is a villain. And it seems like to me that they kind of threw in just a couple of side character villains. Not to say that they are quote unquote nobodies, because Hobgoblin's been around for a very long time and he's very famous. He's one of Spider-Man's staple villains, but you know, I'm glad that he comes to the set. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that characters like Venom or characters like Green Goblin are obviously in different sets. Eddie Brock is inside the Oscorp building, but he's not really Venom. He's got like a piece of symbiote on him. But anyway, this is the Hobgoblin. Now, I'll take him off of the glider, and you see they display with these pumpkin bombs here. Obviously, I think it looks better if you're not flying around with those in that place, because obviously that just makes it look weird. But just as far as a little mini build of this glider, I just think it's cool. I always was a fan of Green Goblin, Hobgoblin in terms of their gadgets and whatnot. And obviously the movies back in the days, the Tobey Maguire movie ones, really kind of brought a lot to the Green Goblin character in terms of making him popular, because not only just was he the enemy, but then when Harry had the whole equipment stuff, you saw him use it too. And it's just, as far as equipment goes, you really got to see his equipment on display. So that was cool. You got the little fire piece coming out here, the little guns right here. Obviously, these are where the bombs would go. And that's pretty cool. The sticker right here. Now getting into Hobgoblin himself. There goes his face, and there goes his other face. So it's great that he's got two printings. His crazy look and his like kind of general, I don't want to call it angry look. It looks like almost like one of those, the villain is laughing kind of looks, in my opinion, or just kind of he's about to do something sinister. But the other face kind of just looks like he's in crazy mode. You can see the outfit looks nice. He got some leg printing, and then I'm gonna take this off so you guys can see the back printing. So he's got his little sack that he stores his pumpkin bombs in. Another thing I thought was interesting too, if a person wanted to do this, is when I first saw this set, this came to my mind. I'm surprised I didn't see nobody do it himself. But if you want to make a whole new character, you could always do something like that, you know, and call him like a whole different character. Even if you wanted to make it where you could call him the Pumpkin King or something like that. But I just thought that was kind of cool. So if a person, say, bought 2 of these sets, not that a person will probably buy 2 of these sets, but if you want to buy 2 of the sets because of the build them, you want to customize the building, you know that you could turn Hobgoblin into something else. Your extra Hobgoblin. So like you've seen already, he's got the cape and he's got the hoodie. It just looks really nice together. Nice combination. So I think that's really cool. We're going to put these to the side, the little pumpkin bombs. And you could take the flaming hair off of them if you want to display it as if, you know, he hasn't lit them at the moment, because some people are talking about that. And here goes the spider, little spider climber thing. Now, a lot of people are saying, what's the point of this? Because, you know, Spider-Man already can climb on walls. But the thing about it is, as I was putting the sticker on this with the little face piece, and then right afterwards, you build this right here, the glider, I realized that I think they just gave it to him just so him and Hobgoblin both have something that they have, because Hobgoblin has his glider, he's got his pumpkin bombs, and Spider-Man pretty much just doesn't really have anything. He's got his webs for his weapon, you know, comparable to the pumpkin bombs, but then after that, he's got nothing he's on. So I think they just kind of did it so that way, between the both of them fighting each other, they have something to ride on, even though it doesn't really make sense for Spider-Man to be riding on this. But with that being said, I like to look at this as, and you could probably pull this little control off to make it make more sense. I like to look at this as an automated spider thing that's just, you know, is his helper, like almost like a sidekick. And, you know, maybe it's got its own little kind of AI going on in it, and it runs around and does what he tells it to. And I believe he's used things like that before. You see the one with in the Into the Spider-Verse, the Penny Parker character has her suit. And I think I've seen things like this before in the past. So I like to look at it like that if a person wants to kind of view it in that way. So, and these are the extras right here. Let's move everybody else out of the way. Nope, the head is not extra, and neither is the spider. You can see these right here. So you just got a couple extra pieces, but one thing I always like to do for anyone who's viewed the channel in the past, they would know that I like to take some of the extras and just put them on the model, because if you have extra pieces laying around, why not? And I'm going to show you where I actually use some of the extra pieces to actually boost up the build of the building. I mean, and like I said, you can do this if you want, but I feel like it adds, and I'm going to probably add more of those things to it. So here goes the building itself. Now, a couple of things. These are the pieces I added right here. I added those flat pieces because I think like covering up those little holes. And I think they blend pretty well. So I think that was actually pretty good. And then you have this piece right here. It's an angle piece. The 2 fire pieces, I forgot all about that. These are just to symbolize destruction after Hobgoblin throws his pumpkin bombs. I think that's a really nice touch, because you can, as far as a play feature, he can throw down his pumpkin bomb and all of a sudden now you see fire in place of it. I think those will actually be really good too for things like stop motion. You know, he throws the pumpkin bomb and then all of a sudden you stop motion, you put those things there and it looks destructive. And those actually go hand in hand with the breakaway feature that I'm going to show you in a little bit. But here, now I wish I had more of these colors, because then it would look even better. But when you look at that straight on, you can see it doesn't even look, you don't even notice that it's a curve. And even if you see it's a curve, it's not that big of a deal because there's so many curved angles going on here. But yeah, it takes away from the fact that there will be a hole there. Now, granted, those holes serve a benefit in terms of, you know, you putting things there like the webs and stuff like that. But if you just want to kind of clean up the look of the building a little bit, you could do that. So that's what I use those for. And I didn't want to cover up these ones because this is where these things went, but who knows, after the fact, I may do so when I don't want to have these things displayed here. I just wanted to show this as the finished build of the model. This right here is to wrap a figure in it, and this piece can lock up here to hold someone in it. Let's see, look at this off camera just to kind of see it a little better. There you go. So you could put a figure inside there and it will lock them up like that. So it's a way of Spider-Man kind of locking them up. But obviously, since Anti-Venom also seems to be a web shooter type of character, some of these webs will be shared amongst him. And these kind of just look like throughout the battle that's taking place at Peter Parker's apartment, that you just got web getting like, you know, swatted all over the place, and it's against the walls or whatever. So that seems to be like what's going on there. And once again, something that I think actually would play good for a stop motion if you were, you know, kind of simulating that. Say if you did a stop motion where Peter first has this come out and is shooting, then all of a sudden, you know, obviously as the stop motion clicks, you see that now appear on the wall. So things like that, I think is pretty cool. So I really am a fan of the way this thing is, because I feel like Lego, especially in the like city line, doesn't have buildings. So to get a building on this, now granted the price is a little bit expensive, but if you get it on sale like I did, it's not too bad. I think I want to say I got it for like 38 and the normal price is 54. So it was like $16.50 off. I'm gonna have the link in the description for this on Amazon, but like I said, if it ends up going on sale at wherever you could find it, I happen to find it at Target at the time, I would definitely say jump on it, because this set is great when you're paying under $40. So I really like the whole structure of it here. You got a sticker over here talking about the Daily Bugle, which is in connection with probably the Daily Bugle set, if you want to think of it like that, or it's just, you know, obviously it's in his universe. So who knows if they'll make a new Daily Bugle that is more in scale with this line between this one and the Oscorp one, these kind of little modular Spider-Man sets. Now, this right here is supposed to go inwards, because obviously people probably already know by now, I'm going to demonstrate it in a bit, that there's no sidewalk on this set right here. When you put it down, there's no sidewalk here. But the reason why there's no sidewalk is because this would actually go on top of the Miles Morales corner store set, but which a lot of people have already demonstrated who reviewed this thing already. But my thought process was, well, if you have this set as a standalone set, then what you can do is you can put this door to not go inwards. Normally it goes inwards because you would display this as the balcony. So what I'm going to do is pull this off, and I'm going to pull this other piece off. Some tweezers here, which I normally use to apply my stickers. I find it better than when people use the brick separator. And so normally you have these two holes there, and that's supposed to be for this little, I don't really know what this is supposed to be on top of it. It's supposed to be vents on top of here. I know that it's supposed to be used if you're gonna use the piece, and they probably just didn't want extras pieces just laying around. But when it's on there, I don't really know what it's supposed to represent, to be honest with you, like maybe vents on top of the building top. But essentially this would be the balcony, and the door would go inwards. I'm not gonna be able to show the door going inwards right now because I actually did the door differently. So if this was on top of the bodega store or the corner store, this would now be the balcony. Though it's weird because this building is made to kind of represent two separate things. This clearly could go obviously on top of how you're supposed to put it as its individual set. And with that, the numbers for the street would go there. The numbers for, the building number. But if you were to put this on top of, say, the corner store, and now it's a whole floor higher, a whole story higher, I honestly would take that off because it just doesn't even look right to me to have that there. Now, maybe you could find a way to bring it down onto the corner store element in some way, but they don't display it like that. There's nothing in this set either that's showing that it's connected inside the book. It's not showing that it's connected in that way, but for the most part, everyone knows that it goes like that. But I did this where I switch this around. It's easy switch to make it go inwards, but what's great about that is it gives you more interior room. Now, you got this here, the little dash or the ledge of the windowsill where you have the air conditioner. It's cool that they built those little air conditions. There's like how people would look out the window and they stick their head out, and they got their whole plants little setup there. And there goes the roof area there. All right, and then we're gonna get into, I'm gonna take this apart. So while we get into the one floor, we get into the other one after the fact, it's easier to see. and you get a little bit more lighting coming in. So I really like the fact that it did so much in this small amount of space. You got this kitchen counter, that is this stove, that is just a countertop where you got your little drawers. And one thing I realized too, and I'll do this after the video, I forgot to put anything inside here because the instructions don't tell you to put anything in here, but some of the extras that you have, like the mixer, can go inside there. So that's something too that you could do. You got the little lights here, which is cool. You got the little sink there, the way they did it there. And then obviously you have underneath the sink, you go up with that cabinet. Now there's not a lot of room here, like I said before, which kind of sucks that it's a tight squeeze. It's the space they want to work with. It's fine. Some people say you can remove this, but the truth is that because it's not placed all together, it's not easy to remove. Now, if you set it up where you put a specialized base on it, just this whole section here, then it could probably come off a lot easier. But what would also enhance this set is, and I don't know if Lego makes, this is a 6 by whatever length it is. I think it's maybe 16, I'm not too sure. But no, this is definitely not 16. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14, 14. Okay, so I thought it was 16. I was close. So 6 by 14. I don't think they get wider than 6. I don't think they go 8 long unless you're getting like a large plate, like, you know, like a base plate. Or matter of fact, I think that they do if they do have half base plates, would be like a 16 by 32 or something like that. Maybe a person could do something like that. The point I was gonna get at was that if this thing extended out a little more, you'd give yourself more interior room, even though it would come out from what's, you know, the rooftop and covering it, but it still will give you a little more play area. But the way it is, it's still nice that it comes the way it does. And like I said, by me making the door go outwards, you get a lot more room, that if you wanted to move this over, you could. And then you have a little more access to the kitchen area, even though you kind of block the doorway, but still. Now, jumping into the other piece here, like we said, we have that there. I like that I use a good amount of the brick type of, or masonry bricks. Now, there's not a lot of lighting coming inside here because, let me see, can I remove this piece off the top? I don't think the way that it's put on here is like that, but let me try. Okay, it came off relatively easy. It's not like I wouldn't call it like made to be removed, but just to get a little more lighting coming inside there. So can I adjust my lights a little bit and see if that helps. And sorry guys, at this point that the video is getting so long. So you see he's got that little spider little drawing on there. Maybe he's like designing his new suit, and this comes down. But see, without me taking the top off, this would be very hard to do. So that in itself is a little bit of a thing where you wish you had a little more roof height. But his bed comes down. I really like the way they cram so much in here, similar to the downstairs floor. They really cram a lot of stuff in here to really pack his room. So even though it's only a 2-floor apartment, it really does feel like it's almost a full-fledged apartment, especially in the fact that, you know, when you think about, obviously Peter's lived in Queens and he's lived in Manhattan. This looks like it's a Queens apartment, more so. Like when you have it just like this, it feels like it's more of a Queens apartment with the, you know, the building number on the outside and the front door like that. When it's over the bodega, it feels more like a city apartment. And so I say that to say, city apartments, Manhattan's apartments are like that. Some of them are just really cramped. And so this emphasizes that, you know. Just taking a quick look over here, these stickers, science fair, #1 prize, you got the Oscorp building, and he's getting a reward over there, Peter, in that far picture down there. And so that's pretty cool. Like I say, he's got his little video game controller, which you would assume that there's a computer, so maybe he's playing games on his computer, which is cool. They don't have a desktop piece to it, so you could assume there's like similar to one of those Macs where the tower the monitor has the computer is part of it, which that is like a thick piece behind it. So you could just assume that that's all built in one. There's the keyboard. There goes his, I'm sorry, this is right in the way. I'm going to pull this off. His camera, which I am going to, in the past, I've done a video about like enhancing cameras. I'm going to put one of those enhanced cameras for him because Peter definitely is the type of person who would have enhanced camera. If any of you guys are familiar with Canon cameras, I kind of based them off that, where you do like certain lenses that would have like the red ring and things of that sort. If you guys are familiar with that, this right here is the, it's like a little table for him. But it's obviously has storage too. Now there's nothing in it, but it kind of, like I said, it does double up on space. So that way, if you wanted to just use as storage, I could take all the extra pieces and throw probably most of them inside there. But that comes out too. So if you wanted to take that away to make space for something else, you could. But unfortunately, this is where the telescope goes. And the telescope is, microscope. The microscope is really nicely built. I really like that for just a simple build, that it really works very well. And then also you have this. Now, this is a breakaway feature, obviously, but the thing about it is be careful not to hold it from this point here, because otherwise it won't break away. So I'm going to do this facing the screen. And there you go. And that's supposed to simulate that Hobgoblin has tossed his bombs. And once you do that, let me throw this back on top. Now it could look like you got flames going on. And what's interesting is that this was actually in the Spider-Verse movie, a scene where, you know, his house is attacked. In that first Spider-Verse movie, it was Peter Parker's home because Miles was visiting there with a bunch of the other Spider people. So this is a common thing that his home does get attacked in different media. So it's not far-fetched that would be the case, although I'm sure he hates the idea that his apartment is getting attacked. But I need to push that right back on. Now, obviously, the only thing that I'm going to say is negative about that, which is what it is, that because it's a play feature, it does make that portion a little less sturdy. But the truth is you can actually take that element out of it and make it sturdy if you want. Or one thing you could do too is just put a 2x1 brick right across here, and that just kind of holds it together a little bit. And that's kind of all you need to kind of make it a little more sturdy. That's it. So I'll throw this thing back on here. Like I said, again, I don't really know what that's meant to be when it's not being used for what it's supposed to be used for, which is the front door. But overall, I really like this set. I really like this. And the fact that Peter Parker is one of those characters who you can just give him an apartment and you don't have to have this whole big thing. And that's nice. So I think it's a really awesome set. I think the set is actually going to become very popular as time goes on because it's a very complete set. I mean, obviously, the only thing you're missing is having Peter Parker have regular clothes, which if you have any Lego regular clothes laying around, or you could get it from the Pick a brick section for some just regular clothes, you can do that and it's not a problem. Just throw this head on there. But I really think it's a very complete set in that you got Peter, you got Mary Jane, you got, his apartment, all the stuff in his apartment. Granted, not all Lego buildings or Lego structures have everything in them, but like for what they cram in here, I think it's just really cool. And I think it's actually very expandable too. If a person was to catch this set really on sale, say if it went really on sale, even though the price I got it for was pretty good as well, but say if it went extra on sale and it was like $25, some crazy sale, you honestly could buy multiple of these. Say if you bought 2 of them or maybe more, you really could customize his apartment in different ways. And then obviously you have all these extra figures that are, duplicates, obviously you do something else with them. But my point is these structures of having these easy apartments, you can switch them up, change some things in them, move around, maybe the base interior, maybe get some extra parts you have laying around for other things, whatever the case is. But nonetheless, you could really kind of jazz it up. And then at some point, just kind of really set it up differently. So for example, one thing I like to do, and I've done this before on the channel, is, I'm sorry for the long rant, I've bought in some of the Friends they did this once, bought one of the Friends room sets from the Friends line and then used those pieces to customize a room. I used it on one of the modular sets, and that video is on the channel here. And you could do something like that. If you bought extras of these, maybe you swap out this whole thing. Maybe you'll have one for Peter Parker's apartment. Maybe you want one for another person's apartment next door. So you take this out, you put a regular bed in it. You know, you jazz up the kitchen, whatever the case is, however you want to do it. So I think that's really cool. And I think that this is really like a place where I wish that Lego City would start giving us. Maybe for like, if it's not a non-licensed thing, you don't have 4 characters, maybe you have 2 characters and it's a regular apartment like that size. You start giving us multiple of them, different designs and stuff like that, I think would be really awesome. And I really would like that. Post down below your comments with your thoughts on that. If you think that would be something you guys would want to see. I definitely want to see it. The Spider-Man set, or the Spider-Man series, I should say, has really kind of opened things up to that. But unfortunately, it's kind of boxed into just the Spider-Man series, which within itself, it's cool. But I do wish that Lego City started putting out more things that you can have simple city designs, simple buildings, designs like this that wouldn't have to be over the top, but kind of give you that city structure. They do sometimes houses and every now and then, and they don't do a lot of them, but a city structure, something like this, a building would be cool, especially something that's stackable, because this stacks on top of the store. And even in the Oscorp set, you see a lot of things stack and can be mix and match with this one and the Bodega store. So that to me is a cool concept that I wish they would expand on. As always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.